Writing style problems, passive voice, supplemental video. Passive voice sentences occur when the verb is two or more words and the verb fails to refer to the actor. Passive voice always follows the format of a specific formula, which we are going to teach you. The need here is that we want to avoid passive voice to create clear, easy-to-follow sentences. So why is this a problem? Well, the average reader in the United States reads on a 4th to 8th grade reading level. This means that they read at the level they read when they were 9 to 14 years old, even though they're currently adults. We need to create the easiest to read sentences for them as possible. So when a clause has passive voice, the actor is also not in the subject, so the clause is more difficult to read for the average reader. So our reasoning here is that people in the United States currently write 90% passive and 10% active, and we need to reverse this number to create clearer sentences for that average reader. So here's the passive voice formula, and you will need to memorize this formula. It's only this that we consider passive voice. So passive voice equals a to-be verb. You can think of that as one variable, plus a past tense verb. Think of that as a second variable. So we have to have two variables in every passive voice formula in order for it to be passive voice. The first variable is the type that we call a to-be verb, and the second variable is a past tense verb. This variable is also known as a past participle. Now, there are only 8 possibilities for the to-be verb, so you look for those first in the passive voice formula. You check your sentences for these words: is, am, are, was, were, be, being, and been. These are the only 8 words that we are concerned about for the passive voice formula. They are the first half of the formula that equals passive voice. Those alone are not a problem, but when you pair them with a past tense verb, we can create a problem in the sentence. So here are some examples of past tense verbs. Could be any past tense verb, not just these. So, is understood, am tired, are born, was delayed, were afraid, be taught. And the next two I've added in adverbs between, because even though the formula is usually 2 words, it can be more words. It can be 3, 4, 5 if we put adverbs between the to-be verb and the past tense verb. So we get being fully paid. Notice that fully is an adverb and paid is our past tense verb. Or been completely exhausted. Been is our to-be verb. Completely is an adverb, and exhausted is our past tense verb. So make sure that when you are looking for passive voice, you always look for the whole verb phrase. The whole verb phrase will be at least 2 words, but maybe more. It could be 5. Now, how to fix the problem once we've found it. First, find all the passive voice verbs in each clause. Make sure they're passive by looking at both halves of the passive voice formula. Then, just like when we were fixing no actor and subject, we ask who or what is performing the action. If you have passive voice, you also have no actor and subject. Then, we rewrite the clause to put that who or what in the subject position. Once we move our actor to the subject position of the sentence, we will have to change the verb in order to make the sentence make sense, and that will fix the passive voice. So here's some examples. First, in the 80s, when the Challenger shuttle blew up, President Ronald Reagan went on television and he said the words, "mistakes were made." This was an intentional use of passive voice, and this is that 10% that tends to be good. Okay? The were is the to-be verb in that phrase. Made is our past tense verb. But we have to ask ourselves, who made those mistakes? Now, the answer was the scientists and the engineers who actually made a mistake that caused the shuttle to blow up. However, President Reagan did not want his audience to focus on the people that made the mistake. He wanted to redirect their attention and have that focus on the solutions. So the actor was unimportant in this case. That's the positive 10% that we want to keep, where passive voice is valuable. This is the type of phrasing that you use when you have to give your boss bad news or you have to deliver bad news of any kind. But for the purpose of this class, you cannot use passive voice. You must write everything in active voice until we have trained you to find it and make appropriate decisions. So, I'm going to give another example on the next slide. The dart was thrown by the Red Raider. If you watch the No Actor and Subject supplemental video, you saw this sentence and the animation before. Different problem that relates to the same problem. So here we have our passive voice phrase, was thrown. Was is our to be verb, and thrown is our past tense verb. Now, without rewriting the sentence is unclear for the reader. We could interpret this as the dart was thrown physically by the Red Raider. In other words, it passed him. Maybe he had to jump out of the way. In that case, we would just change the verb, flew, and it would be the dart flew by the Red Raider. In that case, we have an actor in the subject position that is performing the action of the sentence, which is important in every sentence. But we have to change that verb so we know for certain that the dart is the actor. Now, the more likely rewrite is that the Red Raider, who, okay, that's our actor, will be put into the subject position. So we'll have our Red Raider, he will throw the dart at some target, and we would say the Red Raider, which is now our actor in the subject position, threw. We have adjusted our action verb was thrown, which was passive, to a single word, still past tense. The past tense is okay. But we have changed it so it reflects the correct thing for the actor. So the Red Raider threw the dart. At this point, you should understand passive voice and how to fix the problem. This ends this video.